Summary. The Prophet taught that freeing a Muslim slave will result in Allah saving all the parts of the person's body from hellfire. The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, taught that the best deed is to believe in Allah and fight for his cause, followed by freeing the most expensive and beloved slave. If one cannot afford this, then they should help the weak or do good for someone who cannot work for themselves. If one still cannot do this, then they should refrain from harming others, as it will be regarded as a charitable deed. Sahih al-Bukhari 2517. Narrated Abu Huraira, the Prophet said, "Whoever frees a Muslim slave, Allah will save all the parts of his body from the hell fire as he has freed the body parts of the slave." Sa'id ibn Marjana said that he narrated that hadith to Ali bin al-Hussein, and he freed his slave for whom Abdullah bin Jafar had offered him 10,000 dirhams or 1,000 dinars. Explanations. This hadith, narrated by Abu Huraira, teaches us about the rewards of freeing a Muslim slave. It is reported that when Abdullah bin Jafar offered Ali bin al-Hussein 10,000 dirhams or 1,000 dinars for his slave, he chose to free him instead. In response to this act of kindness and mercy, Allah promised to save all parts of his body from hellfire. This hadith serves as an example for us to follow and encourages us to be generous and merciful towards others in our lives. By doing so, we can reap rewards from Allah in return. Sahih al-Bukhari 2518. Narrated Abu Dharr, I asked the Prophet, "What is the best deed?" He replied, "To believe in Allah and to fight for his cause." I then asked, "What is the best kind of manumission of slaves?" He replied, "The manumission of the most expensive slave and the most beloved by his master." I said, "If I cannot afford to do that?" He said, "Help the weak or do good for a person who cannot work for himself." I said, "If I cannot do that?" He said, "Refrain from harming others, for this will be regarded as a charitable deed for your own good." This hadith teaches us about the importance of believing in Allah and fighting for his cause. It also teaches us about manumitting slaves, which is an act of charity that was highly encouraged during Prophet Muhammad's time. If one does not have enough money to free a slave, then they can help those who are weak or those who are unable to work for themselves. Lastly, if one still cannot do any of these things, then they should at least refrain from harming others, as it will be regarded as a charitable deed in itself.